So going back to our cat essay, cats make excellent house pets. Yeah. Maybe not. Okay. Cats make excellent house pets because people enjoy their companionship, they're civilized, and they're easy to care for. And the restated thesis statement for that one was, in conclusion, we can see that cats are low maintenance, civilized house companions. And so the summary that we could put together would look something like this. So cats are good for companionship, civilized, easy to care for. So people who have small living quarters or less time for pet care should appreciate these characteristics of cats. However, many people who have plenty of space and time still opt to have a cat because they love the personalities they exhibit. There, wrong there. Cleanliness and ability to entertain themselves is simply a bonus for these natural cat lovers who likely see their cats more as family members than simple pets. In many ways, cats are the ideal house pet. So again, we take the idea of companionship with people liking the personalities here. Easy to care for, their cleanliness, and because they're civilized, that paragraph we talked about them being able to entertain themselves and kind of live quietly without a fuss, right? So we've summarized and synthesized all the information. Okay, this would be 3 whole body paragraphs, but we've broken it down into a restated thesis statement and a summary of what they read. Just the highlights, right? So the last thing we're going to need here then is the Z. We've had X, we've had Y, now Z. So we want to zing the readers with a call to action, right? So it's going to be very much like the hook, okay? We want to make the readers care. We want to make them think about your essay for hours or for days after they read it, okay? And we want to tell the readers exactly what they can do after they finish reading. And we want to be very direct and we want to be very explicit, okay? We don't want to leave it up to them to kind of figure out what should I do with the information that I was given in this essay. Okay, you want to tell them exactly what to do. So in our cats essay, an example of a call to action would be at the very end, if you are in the market for a new pet, you should really consider getting a cat. Or just, you should get a cat. Another example, adding a cat to your household could be the best thing you ever did. Okay, so we're insinuating here, if you don't add a cat, you're really missing out, okay? And here's probably the most direct and explicit. Adopt a cat today, and your life will certainly become much happier than with any other pet. Okay, so we're being very direct, very explicit. We're telling them what to do with the information. I spent 3 pages telling you why cats make excellent house pets. Now go adopt one today and become happy. So the idea is with your call to action, you don't want them to forget. Okay, you don't want them to have any sort of, well, that was, I guess, an interesting essay, but why did they make me read that? Okay, you don't want to just say, oh, they told me about cats. Cats are cool. Okay. The idea is go get a cat right now. Okay, go add a cat, adopt a cat. Okay, you know you want a new pet, go get one. So the call to action is telling the reader exactly what they can do. Now, it's not as easy to think about with the pet example we have here, because not everybody is ready to get a pet. But it works for all persuasive essays. Okay? So, cannot tell you enough. Be direct, be explicit, and tell the reader exactly what to do or say or believe. Okay, this is your chance. If they were really, really unsure of what you were trying to do in your essay, this is your time. This is your chance. So think of it like a commercial, right? They get down to the very end, and what are they trying to tell you with that commercial? Well, if you want to be like this idol, or if you want to be like this happy family in this commercial, if you want to be like this guy who's apparently just absolutely in love with everything in his life, you have to buy this fried chicken, or you have to buy this energy drink, or you have to buy this laptop. Okay, you have to buy this Korean red ginseng. Okay? It's exactly like a commercial, right? Or product placement. Okay? Obviously, the character in that drama would be way more unhappy if she didn't have that new LG smartphone, right? So you have to do that. That's what's making her life so good in this drama. It's not because it's fiction. It's not because the writer has made her seem so happy. It's because she has that phone. Now go buy that phone. So ultimately, the thing we need to keep in mind, persuasive essays are like mind control. Okay. You're supposed to be trying to change the reader's opinion. So go out there and tell them what to do. Right? That's the point. Tell them what to do. And so I've done an example here. This example is about a short story called The Most Dangerous Game. And what it's about is there is a, I should ask first, has anybody read The Most Dangerous Game? All right. Looks like no. I see one no, two others being real quiet. So never heard of it. All right, good. So The Most Dangerous Game, um, we have a play on words here. There are two meanings for the word game. One is going to be a game like soccer or volleyball or basketball, right? So it's something you play. Basketball. Oh, three L's. That's good. Ping. But for the number two of game, it's also going to mean animals that you are hunting. Right. So if we are going like big game hunting, would be for things like rhinos, uh, lions, kind of things like that. Right. So in this case, the most dangerous game is actually meaning both of them at the same time. It's got a double meaning. So in the story, there is a character named Rainsford who is known for being a big game hunter. He goes around the world to find the biggest or um, the best examples of some of the animals that he's going to hunt. He's going to shoot them and then basically have them as prizes. Right. So what happens is he is sailing to a new place because this is set like 100 years ago. He's sailing, and he is uh, basically uh, marooned. Okay, his ship crashes, and he ends up on this island where there is a man named Zeroff. Um, and Zeroff is also a hunter, and he decides that on his island that he is going to allow Rainsford to try to live. Um, but what the double meaning is that he turns it into a game, as in something you play, because on Zeroff's island, he actually hunts people. So it is a game, as in we're playing. It's you versus me, but it's also game, as in the most dangerous game, meaning a human being, because Zeroff has become bored. He doesn't just like hunting animals because animals don't think. He wants to experience what it's like to hunt an intelligent animal. And so he basically gives Rainsford a head start, tells him to go off on the island, and then he's going to hunt him. So, kind of an interesting story. Uh, it talks about a lot of things, um, about bravery and other things. So, if you want to read it, it's a short story. It's not a long story. Um, but anyway, our thesis statement for an essay about this short story would be something like: Rainsford is one of the bravest characters in literature because he is not easily frightened, he jumps into the seas, and he defeats Seraph by outsmarting him. And so that would be our thesis. So our restated thesis statement: as the level-headed and daring man who defeats Seraph with his wit, which is the first one here, Rainsford proves to be one of the most courageous characters readers have ever seen. We restated the thesis statement. And so then we're going to provide a summary after the restated thesis statement. So first of all, becoming marooned on Ship Trap Island does not faze him, okay, does not bother him, despite the fact that Whitney, who was a guy on the ship with him, explained to him that sailors dread the place, okay, which means they worry about it, they're anxious about it. Second, during the game with Zeroff, Rainsford performs daring deeds like jumping off cliffs into the Caribbean without hesitation or fear. Lastly, he combines this courage with his intelligence in order to beat Zeroff at his own game. So we have one, two, and three sentences, one for each of those body paragraph arguments. So we have our restated thesis statement and our summary. And so then we have our call to action, right? So we've summarized, and now why should the reader think that Rainsford is the bravest character of all time, right? Because that's our argument, that our character is the bravest in any literature ever. So why should the reader think Rainsford is the bravest character of all time? And so we explain, right? Again, it's always about giving evidence and then explaining. So prior to this defeat of Zeroff, Rainsford was the hunter, not the hunted, and he believed that his prey could not understand fear. However, as the hunted, the person being hunted, he had to assert his bravery over and over again in order to win the game. As a result, Rainsford and the reader learn that even the hunted can experience fear. They just need to conquer it, as the courageous Rainsford does. And so if we put that all together right here, as the level-headed man, daring man, that was terrible. How do I undo it? Okay. There we go. So there is the restated thesis statement. And then we've got our first, second, and lastly. So there is our 1, 2, 3 summary sentences. And then our call to action is going to be here, here, prior to this, blah, 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 blah. So as a result, Rainsford and the reader, terrible highlighting job again, Ryan. Oh, everywhere with this thing. So we can see we have a full paragraph here, right? Restated thesis statement, 1, 2, 3 summary sentences, kind of summarizing our body paragraphs. And then why should the reader care and what should they take away? So not only should we think that Rainsford is the bravest character ever, but the reader needs to learn that even the hunted can experience fear. So everyone can experience fear, hunter and hunted, but we need to conquer it just like our character does, right? Just like our hero. So again, restate the thesis statement, summarize, synthesize, and then that call to action. What should the reader remember if they don't remember anything else from your essay? What is the last sentence you want to leave them with? So, do you guys feel okay with conclusions?
Yeah.
Okay. One, I like it. Yes. Are you feeling better today?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so and let's just review it then. So, quick question, was the hamburger model confusing as we talked about it? Did it make sense? Okay, good. So one person says it was helpful. It was mixed last year. Some classes thought it was good and others just didn't like it at all. All right, so hopefully you liked it. Uh, if we want to think of it as a 5-paragraph essay, we have an introduction, 1 body paragraph, 2 body paragraphs, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. And an important question we had last time, just like with our body paragraph itself, is there a set number of paragraphs or a set number of sentences? And the answer is no, it doesn't have to be 5. Um, if you only have 2 really good reasons um, to back up your thesis statement, you could get away with 4. Um, I would always try to go for 5, at least, or more. Um, it's probably not going to be enough to just have 1 body paragraph. But there are reasons why you would have shorter or less, including just not having enough details about it. It might be a topic you don't know about or don't have a very strong opinion about, and so you don't want to choose topics that are weak. It's easier to just leave them out and focus on the evidence you do have. And the other reason you might be shorter is because of time. So if you only have 1 class period to write it, and you can only get through 2 body paragraphs, it is much better to cut out the last body paragraph that you thought you were going to get to and instead write a very good conclusion. You'll lose a lot less points for having an intro, 2 body paragraphs that are stronger, and a conclusion than to have an intro, 3 body paragraphs, and then it just stops. So time is definitely going to play into a reason why you might have less than 5. And you can also have more than 5, right? If you have so much information here that you need to split into 2 paragraphs, the information here. Or again, it's a long research essay where you have to talk about a lot of different things. You might have 8 or 9 or 10 paragraphs in an essay like that. I think the longest essay writing assignment I've ever had to do was, I think it was 24 pages long. So I certainly had more than 5 paragraphs in that paper. So I'll leave it up to you to think about how many paragraphs that is. And there's more parts to that essay, obviously, but the very base is just this idea of a 5-paragraph essay. And so the parts you had to have in your introduction, you really need to have a hook, and you really must have a thesis statement. In your body paragraphs, we're looking for a good topic sentence and then either a concluding sentence or a transition to just kind of signal that you're moving to the next topic. And then in your conclusion, we need to restate the thesis statement and have a call to action. So those are the parts you must have. And again, our hook was known as the attention getter. And your thesis statement kind of must have an opinion. It must be an opinion, can't be a fact. It should be the main idea of your essay, and it must include your 3 or however many supporting ideas. So it doesn't have to be 3. 3 is if it's a 5-paragraph essay. But if you have more, then obviously you'll have more supporting ideas. Your body paragraphs must have a topic sentence, and that should come from the thesis statement. These ideas are your topic sentences. And you want them to be separate ideas, but you want them to be equally strong, right? And then again, for each body paragraph, we're looking for at least kind of 2 to 3 supporting details for each one, and that is your evidence and your explanation, right? So you have to have at least a minimum of that amount of sentences. And then in your conclusion, you want to restate the thesis statement. And restating the thesis statement does not mean copy and paste. You want to reword it. We also want to make sure there is no new information. And we do want to have a call to action, also known as that zinger, something that sticks with the reader. We do not want them to forget about the argument when they finish reading. We want them to think about it 4 days from now. They're like, you know what? After reading that essay from Minkyu, I really think that the dogs really are the best pet. You know, I really should get a dog. I'm looking for somebody who, or something that's going to give me the kind of loyalty that he talked about. Right? So you don't want the reader to forget about it and never think about your argument. You want them to change their opinion and go out and do something with that information. So that is conclusions. And then that short little review there on essay structure as well. We talked about everybody's body paragraphs that were turned in, and they were good. So I did one more example here, if you want to see it. So an essay topic that we talked about last year was human technology and the environment. And so the thesis statement that we came up with was the technologies that are temporarily making this world a better place to live could well prove to be an ultimate disaster. And so in the conclusion here, and I kind of copied it out so you can actually see what each one is. If this was a thesis statement, then restated thesis statement. In summary, there is no doubt that current human activities are harmful to the earth. Right? So we didn't quite talk about the explicit examples. We don't have the evidence. We probably need to add that in. But we do have a restated thesis statement. So we're saying human activities currently harming the earth. And so the main point of the first, there is damage caused by the creation and the testing of nuclear weapons. So there's one example of technology that is harming the planet. The second body paragraph was talking about how technology is causing us to destroy wildlife. And then finally, third body paragraph, humans have created a lot of pollution as a byproduct of the technologies that they enjoy. And so creating and testing nuclear weapons, destroying wildlife, and creating pollution. If those are our three bits of evidence, then why does that matter? What it says here, it is important for us to see not only the short-term effects of our actions. So yes, yay, we have nuclear weapons, we're safe. Or yay, we can have all the wood we need to build things, even though it's, harming the wildlife that live in those forests. But we also need to consider the long-term effects as well. Steps need to be taken now to begin reversing the negative effects of technology. And then our call to action, okay, what can we leave the reader with? What's that last idea that we want to stick in their brain? We say, otherwise, human activities will be just another step towards destruction. Okay, so what will happen if we don't stop doing these things? Well, if we don't start reversing the negative effects, just another step towards destruction, okay, which means destruction is inevitable if we don't change. So again, restated thesis statement, summary, sentences, a little bit of explanation why, that synthesis, and then our call to action. I should change that. So, are there any questions?
No.
Okay. I like to hear that. Hopefully it's true.
Yeah.
If you do have questions, you guys, if you don't want to say it here, you can also always message me through Google Classroom. I'd be more than happy to answer a
Okay.
question too. So, so let's look at what we have left. So if we look at today, because we are on week 2, this was Monday's class, which had the body paragraph PPT, if you need to go back and look at it. This was the example we did in class, and then we had 2 assignments. We had the topic sentence quiz. So the 3 people that did it, you guys were able to pick out the topic sentence all 3 times. Excellent job. And the same thing with the body paragraph practice.
Okay.
And I left some comments for those as well. So for today, here's the PPT. I will add in, I think it's here. Yeah, the 2 examples are right here. So I'll put those up for you guys to be able to see them. These were the body paragraphs that we talked about. And here's the example conclusion. So your assignments, there is a quiz just to review the structure and the parts of a persuasive essay one more time to make sure we're all set on it. And then the two things that I actually need you to produce, the one is going to be restating a thesis statement. So we're just going to practice that. So for this assignment, go back to the first week, copy and paste one of the thesis statements you created, and then work on just restating it as if you were going to be adding it to a conclusion paragraph. So we want to make sure that we're not just copy and pasting, but rewording it in a way that still carries the same meaning. So if that makes sense. So you don't have to do a summary. You don't have to do a call to action. Just give me an example of a restated thesis statement. And then the other thing that we need to do for this week is we are going to begin looking at actually writing an essay as part of this class. And so next week, we're going to begin with the pre-writing. So planning out what we're going to write and kind of doing those things. So the prompt for the essay that we will be writing, as you can see right here, is to convince me that I need to travel to any city in Korea. The only two you can't use right off the bat. You can't tell me to visit Gumi because I live here. And you can't do Seoul just because I want you guys to give me something else. So choose a city you know at least a little bit about, or at least you're interested in, so you don't have to do much research, or the research you have to do isn't going to bore you. Okay, so don't choose Songju just because there is, Corona cases there right now. Like, pick a city that you're actually interested in and you think I would actually enjoy going to go see. And so if it helps, for this assignment, assume that I only have a weekend. So assume that I'm just a tourist, and I've contacted you and just say, hey, I'm coming for a weekend. Where should I go? What should I do? What places do I have to see there? And so that's all I need. I just need you to give me the city, and I need you for yourself to begin doing any kind of research to be able to answer those questions. You don't have to answer them now, but be ready on Monday when we start doing our pre-writing to be able to start putting those ideas down on paper. What place should I go if you're recommending me to go to Gyeongju? Where should I go? What are the places? Why are they important? What food should I eat? How should I dress? How much money do you think I'm going to need for that kind of trip? So you just need to give me a city, but be thinking about all of the details that are going to go along with why you're picking that one, so that it's not something you have to do in a rush on Monday when we start planning. And then the only other thing I added in here, this is first come, first serve. So if someone else chooses a city first, then that means it's their city and you have to pick a different city. So one person picked Andong, so Andong is gone for everyone else. So there you go. So there's one city gone off the table. But for everyone else, all I need is a city, and that's it. So yeah, so for the rest of today, we'll just be answering those. So I need to know what topic you're going to write on. You're going to write one restated thesis statement, and then you'll do the quiz if you haven't done it already. All right, so any questions?
No.
No. All right. If there are no questions, then you guys may go. You can go work on those assignments, get everything done. And then, I don't know, enjoy your weekend, because I won't see you till Monday. So,
Yes.
so sounds good. All right. I will
Bye.
see you. Yep. I'll see you guys on
Bye.
Monday. Bye.